introduction.
Absolutely no need to apologise whatsoever, Rita, and thank you for getting the recording up and running for those who can't join us. So yes, I'm Gareth Orton. I'm the Member Services Manager for ACEO. I've been with ACEO for just over a year now, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome you to our first aspiring CEO cohort. Some of you may be aware that this program used to run under a new and emerging leaders guys, but we felt it really critical to actually separate what we always felt to be two very distinct stages of leadership. So we are over the moon that you're all here today and kind of working collectively on this particular stage of the leadership journey. At ACEO, we exist to see civil society leaders come together to make the biggest possible difference. And we sincerely hope that this intensive program enables you to do just that, both in your existing roles, but also in the roles that you will hold into your future. And hopefully this program helps act as a platform to enable you to reach those roles that you're aspiring towards. We are absolutely delighted, as ever, to be working with Kevin and Rita from First Position Leadership, and I'm absolutely confident that you're in very safe hands with the two of them over the course of the coming weeks and the journey that you're all going to go on together with their capable and competent leadership. I would just urge all of you in full or associate membership of ACEO to take advantage of the wider range of opportunities that your membership enables you to access, be that through our events program, be that through opportunities such as mentoring, through coaching, and through our online community where you can connect with peers and leaders in similar civil society organisations such as yours. And make sure that you do take advantage of the full suite of what your ACEO membership enables you to access. As ever, if any of you have got any questions about your ACEO membership, I would urge all of you to book yourself onto a new members call. We've got one, I think the next one is coming up in October. So if you're not booked onto that yet and you haven't booked onto one yet, I would strongly encourage you to do so. Otherwise, all it leads me to say is that I know Kevin and Rita will be sending out regular check-ins with each of you in terms of evaluation exercises. We'll also be sending out less frequent but similarly important program evaluation exercises from an ACEO perspective too. And as ever, as a new program, it's particularly important to us that we hear your feedback and make sure that we're able to utilize that to shape this, to take what is already an existing and brilliant offering, we believe, for each of you, and help shape that to kick that on even further for the future. So I think that really is all I want to add today. I really hope that you are able to kind of get the very most out of this. And at that point, I'm going to hand back to Rita and wish you all the very best with the weeks that follow and over the course of the rest of this program. So lovely to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Gareth. Thank you.
Thanks, Gareth.
Right, so no more joiners for us at the moment. So we'll kick start giving you an overview of what we're planning to do on the call today. So obviously Gareth has positioned the programme on behalf of ACEO. We'll have a very quick look at what you've done so far, and well done for getting online and your responses that you've put online. We will spend a fair proportion of the call will be allowing you to introduce yourselves so we get an idea of who's together here learning with us on the learning cohort. You'll have the opportunity, we'll share again the information about the 360 Leadership Competency Review and gear you up so that we can get that rolling, and just outline the next steps for you all. So it is an opportunity, if there's any queries you've got about the programme, not quite sure about one thing or another, it's an opportunity to ask Kevin or myself here and now. If there's any other issues, we can take them offline if there's anything you want to discuss further in a confidential sense at all. So that's what our call's about. And I'd just like to, oh, sorry, Kevin.
Go on, Ray, carry on.
I was just going to, just before we even give them more data like that, invite everyone just to be present in the room with us. It's just because we've had all the excitement of all the new faces coming on stream. And one of the things we think is really important is you've already made a fabulous decision. You've committed your precious and valuable time. And to make the most of that, one thing that people find very useful is to just be present in the room here. Just allow all that busyness you've had, all that running around, all the excitement about starting a new program and getting everything out of the way so you can get a chance to do it. Can I just invite you to sit, if you're happy to, whatever's right for you, to sit with your feet on the, or stand if you're standing with your feet on the ground, and just take a few moments to bring your awareness to your breathing, to allow some space, to allow all that busyness to just float away. Anything that's important will find its space back again. But for now, just welcome this precious time, this valuable time together as you take a few breaths. And just perhaps wonder about your intention of what you want to bring to the call and what you want to get from the call, as you just look around the screen and do your best to make actual eye contact through the virtual medium. And then Kevin's going to tell us a little bit more about the programme and where we're at. So
just to say welcome to Callum as well. I think Callum was the only one who we didn't say welcome to. So yeah, just to remind you that there will be some different things on the programme, and that way of starting may be one of them for you. It is very much a blended programme. You've got all the information about the various component parts. The online learning is the first part, and well done for most of you, I think, who've managed to find your way onto the online learning platform and completed a couple of the modules. Here we are on our first video conference call, and then we'll be uploading another set of online learning modules tomorrow for you. And then we have our first workshop week after next, I think 2 weeks today, which we're looking forward to meeting you in person and sharing some great techniques, some leadership ideas and techniques with you. So that's the format that we'll be meeting together either on a call like this or in person, and then we'll be putting some online learning modules up, and those modules will have some new learning for you. There will be a reminder of some of the things that we've covered on the workshop, for example, and more importantly, we'll be looking for you to put some of these things immediately into practice and then report back to us and tell us how it went. What successes did you have? What did you learn from it? What would you do differently? Because the emphasis on the program is very much on the practical side of things. It is looking forward to you becoming a CEO, or some of you might be at the place where you're not sure that's the direction you want to go in yet, and that's fine too. So we will be forward looking as well. However, the main bulk of the program will give you things that you can use straight away. And that's the feedback that we get from people who've been on this program before, which in various guises has now been running since 2010. And the feedback is that people take away such great things that they can use in their leadership practice currently. So that combination of in-person and online will enable you to do that.
very good.
Okay. Now, the couple of things actually that what we always do is we ask previous participants on the program, what advice would you give to the people who are joining us on this particular program. So we just want to share a couple of those because these are really useful hints and tips from people who've been where you are now, basically.
And what we've
So,
got here, as long with any slides we use today and the recording, we will put up in a lesson. So you've got, you know, we might skim through some of these, but you'll have them available to you if you want to peruse them further as we look at some of the comments.
so we'll just pull a couple out. First one there, self-reflection can be scary. Somebody said, go with it, it'll be worth it. Open your mind to the possibility that you can, and embrace the learning and get to know your colleagues for support. And just to emphasize, that's one of the great aspects of this program that past participants tell us about, that they are forming these relationships with other people on the program. For example, we know that people on our spring program are still meeting regularly and supporting each other. So that's a great aspect of what the program offers.
Excellent. And a few more. This will be a wonderful opportunity for you to learn more about yourself. Enjoy the journey. Try the suggestions in different scenarios. You might surprise yourself. Make sure you attend the meetings in London. They are super helpful.
And don't be disheartened by the 360-degree review. It's really valuable. I think somebody put that in because there can be a lot of apprehension about 360 if you haven't done one before. But the aim of it is so that you can get some incredibly useful feedback for yourself. Don't be scared to be vulnerable. You will be surprised by the support that will come forward from the group. And the final one we had to add, listen to Rita and Kevin, they know their stuff. Okay, so we would put that in, wouldn't we?
Of course. So I think on the welcome call, we did mention about the Leadership Institute membership that you're all now signed up for, and hopefully you'll be getting your membership information through very shortly. You'll be joined as a member, a student member, and on completion of the programme, when we advise the institute that you have completed, you're made up to a professional member. And then if you want to take it further, you can go into the fellowship that requires an extra stage of validation. There's loads of resources, just as Gareth was mentioning about ACEO having resources for you to call upon. ILM resources are fantastic. They've got a lot online, and where there's a dovetailing with what we're sharing with you, we will signpost some specific elements for you to look at. So we will encourage you to have a go in there, and if you find something useful, let the rest of the team know about it too.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about the logistics of the program or the structure of it so far before we carry on? Any questions? All straightforward? Yeah, Vanessa.
I just had a question about it's a really practical question, but I'm not London based. I live in Dorset. And
Yeah.
I've really struggled to get an answer from ACEO about where the in-person October event is going to be held. I can't book my hotel and I can't book my travel without that information. Do you all know where it will be held?
Well, Vanessa, we've been chasing them as well.
But I think what's happened is
they've had
a clash where they're always splendid wherever they find out. They're always splendid partners who allow us to use the property. However, there was a clash that it sounds like maybe bumped us out or whatever. So they have been on the prowl. They are promising just as soon as we can. I wonder if perhaps we'll just ask if they can narrow down the region for you in terms of hotel bookings. I mean, they've tended to be central London, haven't they, Kevin?
I think they did say when we chased it a couple of days ago that it was going to be central London, if that helps, Vanessa.
That helps. Thank you.
We've gone ahead on that basis and booked our accommodation because we're coming from up in the north, you know, fairly central. So yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good practical question.
Yeah. Any others? Okay, all right. So let's just do a quick recap on something that we shared with you online, which was the Johari window. Shall I talk through this, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Some of you may have seen this before, but it's a great frame to start the program. And the idea here is that we are encouraged and encouraging you to develop what's called the arena. And that's about how you can share things about yourself and how you can get to know other people as well. So the the Johari window itself has 4 panes. The arena is things that people know about you and things that you know about you. The facade is things that you know about you, but for whatever reason, other people don't know. So these are things that you're choosing not to share, or maybe just people haven't found out about you yet. The third one is the blind spot, and this is an interesting one because this is where people know things about you, but you don't. You're not aware of them. So the question is, what might that be? One aspect of that is people's opinions about you, and you know, what do people think of your leadership style, for example. So that's one of the reasons that we have the 360 in the program, so that you can move that information from what's currently in your blind spot into the arena. And then the final one is the unknown, which is where it's information that people don't know about you and you don't know about yourself. So what on earth could that be? Well, that's more about your potential. You may not know what you are fully capable of in a leadership sense, which is where we're going to focus. And other people don't necessarily know that as well. So the whole process is designed to encourage you to increase the size of your arena, and you'll do that by feedback seeking and by disclosure. There will be, of course, things that it would not be right and proper for you to disclose to other people. We're not saying that you need to tell people everything. Of course, there will be things that you will choose to keep to yourself. But the idea is that a high-performing team will perform much better if there is that openness, if people understand each other, if they understand each other's beliefs and values, if they understand what people are good at in terms of their skill set. The team will perform to a higher level if that's all out in the open. So that's going to be one of the key things we'll emphasize on the program, is that idea about openness, which of course then leads to building trust.
And what was interesting, again, thank you all for responding on the online. A number of people commented that how it was quite revealing just working through the questions. There were quite a few questions on that lesson, and some of them sort of looped back, but the purpose was to just get you thinking, oh, what might be different? What might be the value? What might I not be sharing that might be useful? And it may be reiterated for you the things that actually I'm not in a place to share that with everyone or this population as we move forward. So everyone okay with that? No questions about Johari window? It's a frame that just makes sense in the context of us learning more about ourselves as leaders. Okay.
Can I just say something about the Johari window? I think it was interesting going through it, but really for me, it would really depend on who I'm sharing the information with, because I might not reveal some aspects to different people. So it just felt like you almost have to rework it for every person that you are working with.
And I think maybe that's quite a key point, isn't it? That actually, depending on the relationship you have and the relationship you want, that disclosure, trust building comes from that open honesty very often. And I totally agree with you. It will be dependent on the context, the population, what you want the relationship to be like, as to what degree of usefulness that serves, really. Good point.
And there will be certain things as a leader that it would be inappropriate for you to share. So yeah, absolutely. Take that on board, Gurpreet. Yeah.
I think that exercise in itself, working through the different, with whom and with who I will, with whom it would be useful, where's the value in this population, is useful in itself, I trust.
Any other questions or comments on that? No? Okay. All right. So there was another frame that we wanted to share with you, and then we're going to hand over to you in about 5 minutes or so, just to hear a little bit more about yourself. But we wanted to share with you this second frame, which really sets up the program.
And it's probably a frame you're familiar with, but just to remind us of it, we start with the little quote that says, "Behold the turtle, it makes progress only when it sticks its neck out." Which is, and some of you may have noticed the picture's a tortoise and not a turtle. Did anyone notice that? I didn't find an appropriate one for the other thing.
It could be a turtle out of the water.
It could be a turtle out of water. But it's the sticking your neck out, going outside your comfort zone. So that language we use a lot relating to comfort zone is that place where things are easy, effortless. We operate probably a lot from our unconscious, habitual workings. We don't even have to think about it. So that's the comfort zone. And a lot of our activity will be within that comfort zone. I mean, that's really useful. The fact that you can now do so much within your comfort zone is why you are able to be as productive as you are. But if you only work inside that comfort zone and don't go to the next level, which is stretch. Now, stretch is where you get that added energy. This is where you're expanding your comfort zone, that you're moving, you're learning more, you're getting more and more comfortable with more skills, more capabilities. And that's where a lot of live energy comes from. It's exciting, it's stretching, it's challenging, it's exciting. It can be scary and other things as well, but not as scary as if you go too far or you're in the challenge and stretch all the time. And that's like, it's going to ping. So I use an elastic band to say, well, the comfort zone is, you could just get on with everything. It's not causing you any stress or tension. You can just do the task without even thinking about it. Then the stretch comes and it has an energy to it. You could catapult things with that energy. But I think we all are aware of what can happen if I keep stretching that elastic band too far. And that's what we call the panic zone, where it's fear and dread, and there isn't the grounding and the comfortable space for it. And that's just burnout. That's all sorts of things can happen physically, mentally to you if you're constantly in the panic zone. So what we're encouraging is for you to try the new things. And like one of the past people from the cohort said, have a go at suggestions that might seem a little bit different. We totally appreciate that some of what we share will be new to you. Some of what we share won't be new to you at all. We'll be just sharing it in a different context, and we'll certainly be building on much of what's in your comfort zone, but we will be encouraging you to stretch as well, so that you can really expand your comfort zone, so that you're more and more comfortable with things, and that's how we grow and develop. So when we're building the other word there is about flexibility, stretch and flexibility. So you'll hear us talking about a lot of flexibility. Like we said about sharing different things with different groups of people, the way we behave, the way, if we want to influence people, if we want to make the most, empower different groups of people, we need loads of flexibility in our behavior, in our approach, in the stretch and in the groundwork and knowledge and skills we have. So we're encouraging flexibility. We're encouraging you to build on your comfort zone, to know that it's there and you can go back into it. But we're really wanting you to be up for, open to, having a go and stretching too.
Okay, excellent. So that was the two things that we really wanted to make sure that you were on board with in terms of the program. What we'd like to do now is to get to know you a little better, and probably everybody on the call is thinking that they'd like to know these wonderful people who are looking at them from the screen. So we're just going to ask you to very briefly sort of tell us who you are, what your role is, what your organization is, and what else are we going to ask them, Rita?
Well, really, it was about what you're most looking forward to from the program, given that we've all had that introduction. And we're going to break you up into groups, just so we're still doing that, even though our numbers aren't as high, Kevin.
Yeah.
Split up into groups. So we'll get you into groups of 3. So I have to do a little bit of maths there. So will it be 4?
If we had 3 groups of 3 and a group of 4, I think.
So 4 groups. And Kevin, can you just check who knows each other already? I know Sarah and Vanessa are familiar with each other, so we might put you in different groups. Is anyone else familiar with anyone else? No.
So I think some of us are from the RPLC Future Leaders Program, so we kind of know each other.
So do you know each other enough that the introductions aren't needed, or will it still work mixing you around to have a chat in the context of this? I think it'll probably be all right. Just as a matter of interest, pop your hands up if you are part of that program. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's nice.
7.
And that's running concurrently with this. That's an ongoing program, is it? Yeah. Oh, excellent. Oh, well, that will work well. Okay. Well, what I'm going to allow for the random, and let me just check. Obviously, Kevin's not going to go in there, and that should work, I think. So, time-wise, Kevin, how long are we going to?
10 minutes.
Okay, so what you're most looking forward to in the program, and a 10-minute chat. Obviously, names and where you're from or anything else that will set the scene for people. There we go.
And are we going to ask them to introduce each other?
Oh, I think that would be good.
Yeah, let's do that. So you need to pay attention.
So what you're going to do in that introduction of each other, who you are and where you come from, just very high level and quickly. When you come back, it'll be like that round robin. You're going to introduce one of your colleagues. That colleague introduces the third one. The third one introduces the first one. Okay, so it keeps you live and on your feet. All right, or on your seat, whichever works best for you, of course. There we go. 10 minutes starting now. And I will pause the recording.
Yeah.
Joined us early. You must have all been in a fantastic conversation. None of you popped in as soon as you got the room shutting. Excellent. Nice to say hello to each other. Yeah, and not just listen to us as well. It's good. All right. So what we're going to invite you to do is that round robin, introduce your peer learner and tell us what they're most looking forward to on the programme. So who wants to go first? Oh, Karen, that was excited. Brilliant.
Get it over and done with.
That's sort of excited, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent, Karen. And who are you going to introduce to us?
I'm going to introduce you to Timmy. But out of our group of four, three of us did know each other.
Okay.
But not in any great depth. So we did do some learning. So Timmy is, she works for Mortlake Community Association. It is a small environmental charity. No, wrong person. That's Jackie. Oops. So sorry, Timmy. Apologies, Timmy. Timmy works within the Borough of Richmond upon Thames at Mortlake Community Association. She's been there 2 years in June. She's been there 2 years in June. The association has a community hub, so they provide activities and ongoing ventures and stretch classes and other things for the local community. It is very much neighbourhood based. We do work within a London borough, so we are smaller and neighbourhood based. So Timmy said that they are starting to grow as an organisation. So she struggles to lead people, so wants to gain confidence in that, wants to gain confidence in her own skills, and find ways of managing people healthily. And she's not too sure what her next steps are. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have the CEO title, although she probably does the work of a CEO, which many of us in the voluntary sector do. So I think this learning for her is about accepting her own skills, gaining confidence, and figuring out what's next for her as the organisation she works for grows within itself.
Excellent.
Hopefully.
Brilliant.
She'll tell me if I'm wrong.
No, that was lovely, Karen. Thank you.
Lovely. So the confidence and understanding next steps. And what was nice in the way that Karen expressed that, knowing what you already know and feeling confident about that, because I'm sure there's huge amounts, but then what else, and building the confidence in that. Excellent. Lovely. Timmy, who would you like to introduce us to?
Well, I'm going to introduce you to Karen because that's how we just chose,
Okay.
you know, and then Jackie chose.
Yeah, the other parent, because you had 4 people.
Yes.
Yes.
So it was very interesting because I didn't know that Karen has worked at her previous charity for 9.5 years, which was quite a surprise for me. So that was also based in the Richmond Borough. It was in Ham, but she recently joined this new organization called the Cambrian Community Centre. It's a health and social, they run health and social well-being activities, and they have got a community gym where the average age is 65 plus. Her aim is to learn a different leadership skill set, because in her new role, she's obviously working with a different team, which now stretching her, which is very healthy, to figure out different healthy ways of managing different people. And I guess even for me, that was one thing, that it's people will be different. Mm-hmm. You know, we can only just try our best, but to be able to have like a great foundation, which hopefully you guys can give us, then we should be able to figure out, you know, going forward ways where we can manage people and lead organizations. And yes, and I particularly feel special that Karen chosen me and I've chosen Karen, because obviously we come from RPLC funded, but we had a really nice chat last week when we had a little what did we have? A little, what was that? Social, where we all gathered together and we had a really nice chat towards the end of it. So this is just a really nice continuation for me too. Indeed. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, thank you. So a deepening of the understanding. Who knows if you'll end up being buddied together or not at the end of the call. Thank you. So is it the other pair who were in your group, or does anyone else want to volunteer? Who's next?
Yeah.
As much excitement as Karen. Yes, Jackie, that's good. Thank you, Jackie. And Jackie, who are you introducing for us?
So I'm going to introduce Hannah, who the rest of us did not know in that group. So Hannah is from Pembrokeshire, Wales, and she works for an organisation called the National Landscape Association. Other people might know it as the body who identify areas of natural and outstanding beauty. So, for example, Cornwall would be one of those. She's the head of nature-based solutions at that organisation. Hannah is kept very busy by her 2 children, but she doesn't necessarily aspire to be a CEO right now, although she's open to opportunities and just really wants to explore the unknown and to see what's out there. And hopefully this programme will enable her to do that.
What a lovely phrase, explore the unknown. And in a natural, organic sort of way, I suppose. Lovely. Explore the unknown. Thank you. Was there anything to add to that, Hannah?
No, thank you, Jackie.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Hannah, then you'll tell us a bit about Jackie.
Yeah, so I was obviously introducing Jackie, and we sort of connected because Jackie is also in the conservation area, and she's running a small conservation site on Barnes Common, which is Barnes Common Limited. And her role is, I hope I get this right, Jackie, development communications community engagement manager. So we were talking about how in the third sector we do love an interesting title, although we just end up doing so much in one. And she is reporting.
And you do a lot all in one as well.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously she is reporting into the trustees as well. So very much probably adopting a lot of that chief exec role. And I think in our group, we were talking about, all of us mentioned confidence at some point, which was interesting, but just about exploring leadership styles and yeah, what's next? Yeah. Is that okay, Jackie?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Excellent. So we've got a theme running through already about the confidence as well, which is lovely. And who's next, please?
Okay.
Thank you, Jenny.
Okay, so it was Gurpreet and Sasha and I were on a call together. I'll introduce Gurpreet, who is the operations manager of helping people learn English at home. And their charity supports adult refugees and asylum seekers and migrants who need to learn to speak English. Gurpreet was saying that she is particularly looking forward to building her knowledge and skills to become a good leader. And we had quite a lot of discussion, I think, around what that meant for all of us. So,
and you came up with one nice sharp sentence in answer to that, did you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've done it. We solved the problem.
Oh, well done. My goodness, what a good 10 minutes spent. Excellent. Okay. Anything to add to that, Gurpreet?
No, but it's probably something I'll mention when I talk about Sasha. So I'm going to introduce Sasha, who is the Chief Funding Director at City Bridge Trust, and that's a charitable organisation offering funding to people. I think the revenue comes through the bridges, looking after all the bridges, yes, around London. She has been in her role for 18 months, and it's probably the most senior role that she has been in. And one of the things that she mentioned was she's working out whether she wants to be a CEO, and I would echo that. Yeah, it's do I actually want it? And that's what Sasha was saying. Does she actually want to step in those shoes and do all of that work? And she said sometimes yes, sometimes no. I hope that's okay, Sasha.
That's perfect. Thank you, Gurpreet.
Lovely. Okay. Yeah.
I will introduce Jenny. So Jenny is the CEO of a small charity. I think you said you've got 7 people. And the charity is ADHD Embrace. And Jenny's interesting because she's made the transition from financial services and quite a commercial background. So this is her first role in the charity sector. And she's been in her role for 2 years. And the thing that Jenny would like most from this course really is about the peer group and getting to know people. And we all had a really interesting conversation around how anyone often in a leadership role, it can be quite a lonely undertaking.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Jenny?
Yeah, I think that's certainly one of the themes that comes up on the program quite a bit, is this idea of you know, the lonely role at the top as a CEO. So that's something we'll be exploring, and yeah, one of the other aspects of the program is we are going to help you to, if you are unsure about whether you want to go down the CEO route, then again, that's another key part of the program. You'll get a feel for whether that's a route you want to go down or not. Excellent.
And we will say welcome to Abby. I know, Abby, you're just sitting quietly because you had to join us late, but we are recording as well, so you'll be able to pick up on that later. So welcome. Well done for joining us. And then who wants to share next? Introduce Stephen. Thank you.
Hi, I'll introduce Vanessa. Right, Vanessa works for Charity Coms. And she's Vanessa, please correct me if I get anything wrong. She takes leads in events management in Charity Coms. I've been in the organization for 6 years. And we talked more, she mentioned about how she looks forward on the 360 and also how she dreads it, which is the same thing as for myself. And yes, I think that's all I could get because I was listening more than making notes.
So excitement about the 360, Vanessa.
Yes, but also apprehension.
Yeah,
it's a good balance. I'm sure you'll gain great insights from it. Thank you. And Vanessa, who are you going to introduce for us? Or was there anything else you wanted to add to Anya's?
No, I think Anya covered it beautifully. Thank you. I think I'll introduce Anya, and we also had Callum in our room as well. So we're a 3. So I don't know if we should introduce Callum as well at the same time. I'm not sure. But Anya works for a Kingston-based charity and has been there for 6 years now. He's now head of service there and has undertaken a master's degree in leadership and management, which I think is most impressive. And is really looking for this workshop series that we're on to act as a refresher and to sort of put some of those theoretical ideas into action. Because it's all well and good learning a lot, through a master's degree, but you really want to have those real life situations to go through. And I really think he's motivated by answering the question, where next? What does that look like?
Good question.
So that was a really interesting question. Shall I also introduce Callum, who is in my room?
I think you might as well. Callum, you're happy to be introduced by Vanessa?
Yeah, that's fine. And then I'm off the hook of instructing somebody as well, so I don't mind.
I was like, you can introduce one of us again, but so Callum, today we learned that he's working in social prescribing and a community development role. And I think I got this right. You supervise 24 people or are responsible for 24 people? Yes. Okay, yep, I'm impressed. And has been in that post for the last 2 years, but with the organization for 4 years, and is really sort of dreading sort of next steps after this course. I think mostly because it will be about trying to understand how to silence the imposter gremlin that sometimes lives within us about where next, what to do, am I ready, will I ever be ready? How soon will people find out about me? Those sorts of questions that we all have. I have those questions about myself too, so solidarity to Callum. I hope that's everything. Did that cover it? Is that okay?
I think that's something that props up repeatedly on the program, this idea of the imposter syndrome. You know, how do you know when you are ready to take on a particular role? And, you know, when will I feel comfortable? When will it feel like me in the role? So yeah, we'll talk about that and we'll address that. I'm going to hand over to Callum, see if there's anything to add in a moment, but just wanted to say one thing to Anya. I hope he hasn't disappeared. No, he's still there. Anya, great that you want to use this program as a refresher, but I would also hope that we'll give you some new information, some new ideas as well. So you can hold us to that. We'll ask you at the end if you've got something new out of the program. So that's our aim for the program as well. Callum, anything you want to add? We'd love to hear a little bit more of your voice at this point.
So I think Vanessa covered it beautifully. I think one of the things that we spoke about was, especially with the 360s, was being kind to ourselves, not trying to evaluate anything too deeply, but also being inquisitive as well. So I think those were things that the three of us were all looking forward to. I guess that self-learning and gaining a better understanding of others' opinions too.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Very good. Now, Stephen kept putting up his hand and saying he was ready. So
I am ready.
I'm
Hopefully he's still
inviting
ready.
Stephen to introduce someone.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to introduce Sarah, Sarah Clark, who also works at Charity Comms, and she is Head of Membership and Insight. She was saying that most of the memberships are charities and the organisations about communications in charities. She heads up 6 people between her 2 departments, which is the membership and the insight department, as you probably would have got from her title. She is looking forward to finding out, becoming more aware of herself, getting more awareness from this process, sort of getting to grips with the challenges of it can be challenging taking on a new team, I think is what you said, and integrating with them within the organization, making the sort of the link from the organization to the teams to the individual, and keeping that all sort of flowing successfully. So I think that's what you're looking forward to. Anything I've missed that you want to add?
No, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Stephen. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
And I will keep going, and I will now introduce Esther. And Esther works for Richmond Aid, which is based in Southwest London. It's an organisation that supports disabled people and people who are deaf and have other disabilities. It's a network of organisations, and she is advice manager there and has been there for over 7 years. She manages a number of teams working around welfare, such as housing, debt, grants. So it's extremely busy, as you can imagine, with lots of different activities, a very thriving office, the drop-in service, working with lots of other types of things like food banks and other projects alongside counselling and other activities. So it's a challenging role, but she really enjoys it. Works 2 days in the office and 2 days at home. It's very rewarding, and the people who work there really care about it. And people have been there for a long time. There's a lot of people who've been there for like 9 and 10 years as well, which makes it a really nice sort of atmosphere. But there's also a good mix of other people. So there's people who come along as trainees and are really enthusiastic and fresh insights, and then they move on to something else. But it's really nice to have them while they're there. There's obviously some concerns about teams' well-being as well, because it's a very busy and sort of pressurized environment. And the hope is to step out of the day-to-day, which can feel a bit overwhelming and a bit panicky sometimes. So being very busy every day, it's nice to have a bit of a breather and time to reflect and step back, think and pause about what the next steps are, and what is possibly on the horizon. So hopefully that summed it up okay.
That was perfect. Good. Excellent. And I'm sure, Esther, yourself and lots of people will value that, taking the time aside, just pausing, putting the brakes on, just wondering, being curious about what else, or just allowing things to settle. So that's another theme, I suppose, not just keep on doing what you're doing. You know, this is where the flexibility comes in as well. So some of it's knowing about the other things, but it's no good knowing, you know, theoretically, oh, there's this, that, and the other. It's about knowing what you're doing now, and is it actually getting you towards where you want to be? Is it getting the results? So lots of deep breathing and pausing and wondering. So have we been introduced to Stephen yet?
I'm going to introduce Stephen. Stephen is Deputy Director for the Love Music Trust. It's a music charity and he's worked there for 2 years. It covers Cheshire and Wirral and involves schools, mainly schools, and lots of other events. He works in a team of 8, but also supports 40 contracted tutors. It's part funded by the Arts Council, and he is looking forward to learning more about how to progress with leadership, and also keen to learn more about how others perceive him as well. He also is very musical himself. I think I got piano and clarinet.
Very good. Excellent. Anything else to add to that, Stephen? Any other musical instruments to start off with?
I play the organ as well. I sing. Yeah. But yes, thank you very much. That's brilliant, Esther.
Excellent. Thank you. I wonder if we might invite Abby, would you be happy to introduce yourself? I guess you've got the gist of what we're doing. If you're comfortable to just tell us a tiny bit about yourself and what you're looking forward to most in the programme.
Hello, thank you. Apologies for being so late. I'm Abby. I have the title of Director of Kew Neighbourhood Association, which is a hyper-local organisation. We have around 200 mostly older clients and 150 volunteers who support them in shopping, driving, transport to hospitals and companionship. I've been with the organisation for a staggering 10 years and grown it from a team of 1 to a team of 4, but we're all part-time. And I think really it's about challenging my thinking. The organisation is going to be 50 in 2027. So it's about wanting to leave the organisation I'm in a really good place, should I get the opportunity and the confidence to move on.
Wow, brilliant. Thank you. Wow. So some similarities, some nods of, yes, a bit me, I can hear that. And hopefully you got that just in your trios or your smaller groups when you were chatting together, but certainly on the feedback there. I'm thinking, Kevin, they're probably on the right programme. What do you reckon?
Sounds absolutely like they are, I think, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, everyone. It's great to hear what you particularly want to get out of the programme. Lots of common themes, confidence, exploring whether the CEO role is right for you. Yeah, brilliant. We can certainly help you deliver on those. Okay, we wanted to kind of share with you next steps now, and particularly around the 360, because one of the things we'd like to do is to get that started pretty quickly. So let me just tell you what we would like you to do in that respect. Just start with a nice little quote here. One of the hardest things of leadership is understanding that you are not what you are, but what you're perceived to be by others. And that fits very much into this Johari window idea that we talked about earlier, and is the reason that we have this 360 on the programme. Just a show of hands, how many people have been involved in a 360 before? Okay, yeah, less than half, I would say. Okay, now our particular 360 has been developed by ACEO members. So it's very much third sector voluntary organisation specific. And members of ACEO have identified that these are the 6 key competencies for leaders in the third sector: making things happen, working together, developing people, inspiring and influencing others, creating the vision, and caring for self and others. So these are the 6 competencies that will be getting you to reflect on yourself and also to get your respondents to give you some feedback on. The idea is you'll see from reading the specifics within the assessment that we're looking for you to kind of benchmark yourself in terms of where you're at now. Most of you, in terms of your roles, from what we're hearing, would be in this category, certainly leading others. Maybe you're leading multi-teams. So a lot of you are what you might call a senior manager, part of the senior management team. And what we're looking to get you to do is to assess yourself against the organizational leadership aspects, particularly, and get a sense of where you are now in relation to those, and what kind of areas would it be useful for you to develop so you can move into these higher levels of leadership. The leadership competency review we have recently revamped, actually, and it's now, when it arrives for you, it will look something like this. So it's an online review for you to complete and for your respondents to complete as well. What we've done is we've streamlined the process this year and made it hopefully a lot easier for people to use. Now, what we would like you to do, let me see if I've got some dates on here. I think we've got some dates on the next slide, actually. Bear with me a second. These will all be on the online as well. So what we will be doing tomorrow is we'll be sending out an email to you requesting 2 things. We would like you to do your self-assessment against the 6 competencies and return that to us by Wednesday the 25th. Should take you around about 45 minutes to do. So we would like that back. You've got a week to complete, which hopefully will be sufficient time. What we would also like you to do is to think about who would be best placed to be your reviewers, your respondents. And we would like you to nominate 6 individuals to be your respondents. And this is what we recommend, which will give you a good spread. 1 person whom you are actually reporting into, which will probably in most cases be your CEO, I'm guessing. 2 people who you are considering to be from your peer group. So for example, that might be 2 other senior managers within the senior management team. And 3 people who are reporting into you. Now, that's not a hard and fast breakdown, but if you follow that model, it will give you a good spread of views in terms of how you are performing as a leader. So what we would like you to have sent to us by next Tuesday is a list of those 6 names and email addresses, having had a conversation with them that they are happy to participate in the 360. So we'd like those 6 names to us back next Tuesday. What happens then is we will email out the 360 review to those 6 people, and we will be asking for them back by Friday the 4th of October. So they'll have somewhere around 10 days to complete. And what they will be completing is the same as what you'll be doing on the self-assessment. So again, it will take them around about 45 minutes to complete. Okay, once we get all of those respondent feedbacks in, we'll do all the background processing and we'll write you an individual tailored report. And we'll also have a one-to-one feedback session with either myself or Rita, and that will be in the week of the 14th of October. So hopefully we can identify a 45-minute slot sometime in that week when you will be free to have a one-to-one Zoom call with us, and we will take you through the findings of the 360, and we'll give you some kind of help and advice in terms of next steps. You know, how do you want to take on your development from the results of the 360? That's it, I think. So we'll be advising you again of all of those dates tomorrow, and they'll be in the next online module. Has anybody got any questions at this stage in terms of that logistics of the review? Karen, yeah.
I report to the chair, who
Okay.
will be on holiday for the whole of that period.
Okay.
So I might struggle to find someone
Okay.
as a respondent, because there's literally me, and then I report to the chair and the board.
Okay. Okay. Would there be any of the trustees that would know you well enough?
I've only been in post since the 3rd of June.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Or a previous?
Sorry, say that again, Rita.
Or perhaps your previous role, from your previous role. If it's that recent, would that be appropriate?
I don't think they'd be very
Willing.
forthcoming.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be very willing. Yeah, because I left and it was a bit messy.
Okay. Okay. All right. The main criteria really for the 6 people is, you know, who's best placed and observing you fairly regularly in the role. You know, it is nice to get that spread of reporting relationships, but if that's not possible, just think about which 6 people, Karen, would be best placed to you know, to give you the most useful feedback potentially.
Okay, I can ask one of the other trustees. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Anya?
Gurpreet, you had a question as well.
Again, when you talked about 6 people, that's nearly all about organisation. So you're happy for us to go to people external to our organisation who we might have worked with before?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And I just want to know how long it will take to complete, because that's what the first question people are going to ask me.
We reckon about 45 minutes.
And what will help you if you look at your own, we're using the same tool for the self-assessment as for the feedback from your respondees. So if you work through yours quickly, you'll have an idea of how long it will take. And so that would be helpful for you. Yeah.
Anya, did you have a question as well?
Yes, it's almost as the Gurpreet asked. I have only one peer, the finance director, who is in my peer group. So how do I get the second person? That's where.
Okay. Can you is there anybody who would have observed you working, which might not be within your organization?
Yes, I can. Yes.
So
yes.
you know, feel free to go outside of your organization.
Okay.
again, that main criteria is who is observing you in your leadership role, your current leadership role, and would be best placed to give you that feedback, really.
Okay.
Yeah, and if not, just go for another direct report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Callum.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, once you've got all of the respondents' answers, will it be broken down so we're able to see kind of that feedback from our managers, our peers, our team separately, or will it all be integrated into one?
That's a very good question. Yeah, let me answer that. The first thing to say is that we guarantee confidentiality to those people who are completing it. So we encourage them to give you an assessment score against each of those competencies. And we also encourage them to give you some written feedback as well, because that's incredibly valuable. We share all of the written feedback with you, but it's anonymous. Now, you might read some of the comments and think, oh, I know who said that. but there's no way around that. You know, we mix it all up so it's all anonymous as far as we can make it. In terms of the scores as well, the scores will not be allocated to any one individual. There will be an average score given against each of the competencies. Now, because we've moved on to this new platform this year, it may be possible for us to share with you your direct reports score was this, and your peers score was this. So we may be able to break that down in a little bit more detail. But again, we need to be a little bit careful with that, because that confidentiality aspect is really paramount. So we wouldn't break down, for example, your CEO scores, but because that goes against this idea of confidentiality as far as the review is concerned. Does that help? Does that answer your question, Callum?
I guess that's it semi makes sense, and I understand about the confidentiality. I guess it was just thinking of if there were things that my CEO felt I needed to improve to develop my skills and knowledge.
Yeah,
that would be really helpful for me to know, compared to what potentially my team think or perceive I'm doing well. So it's that disparity between the potentially who's saying what.
Yeah, and there's something to remember there, that this is a tool in that whole dialogue about feedback with people you work with, work for, and work alongside. So remember that this is a tool that will spark your curiosity to wonder perhaps who said that. Also, it's sometimes fairly obvious to people, and often it's no surprise because the conversations have already happened as well. So remember, this is a tool to spark that thought and the conversations. We genuinely encourage people to, just by inviting your CEO to respond to this, is already opening up a dialogue, a conduit, which you can then choose if you want to share the feedback you've received. It's totally up to you. This is done with yourself. It's not shared with anyone other than yourself, but then it's yours if you want to share it back or discuss it with your team, your peers, or whoever else. And there can be a lot of value in that, but that's totally up to you. So it proves useful even when they're summarized, when they're averaged together. So in general, you'll get a line that tells you 6 scores averaged out at this. Your own score as a comparison is this, and that's the high level on the numbers. And then there's great value also in that open feedback, as Kevin said.
And just a final thing on this, really, if you are sat there now feeling a little bit apprehensive about the whole exercise, we have to tell you that the experience of previous participants on the 360 is overwhelmingly positive. A lot of people will say this has been such a valuable part of the program. So, you know, hopefully that gives you some reassurance if you are sat there now thinking, oh gosh, I'm not sure about this aspect of it. So.
Okay. Oh, something else from Vanessa?
Yeah, I think my question, my apprehension is not necessarily about what people say, but and I think a lot of people in this call work in really tiny organizations. And in my case, Sarah and I, we both report to the same person. We sit on the same management team. There's a limited number of us. Even trying to get my team to do things that would benefit themselves is nigh on impossible. So I don't hold out a great deal of hope that I'm going to be able to get 6 people in a really short time frame to think just about me in a really compelling way, which sounds awful. And maybe that speaks to maybe how little influence I have in the organization. I don't know. But I just want to say I think it could be really difficult to meet the deadline because people are really stretched. And I assume they're stretched elsewhere. I see people nodding, so it's not just me. I don't want to throw the whole thing off, but I just want to be real to say that there are real challenges, I think, in trying to get people. I can't even get people to finish their appraisals. I mean, it's that sort of thing.
Well, we have every faith that you'll do what you can to get who you can with your powers of influence, and and hopefully the timetable is. I totally appreciate the workload and the pressures. That makes every sense. In general, people have been able to, we can only go from past histories, somehow cajole, buy a cup of coffee, I don't know what it is, but in general, people have been pretty responsive. If it's a day or two on a deadline, sometimes we can shift around that as well. You know, we'll do what we can to make it as flexible, but obviously we need to get it sorted as quickly as possible too. And Karen?
Brilliant.
Our team is very, very small, and a lot of them only work 1 day a week, and that's a 6-hour shift, and that is within our gym. So asking them to do something on their own time, it might come up with a bit of a challenge, because they're 2 out of the 3 staff that directly report to me in a chain, I don't have any admin time. So they are in the gym on a shift, and that would be
working.
Yeah.
So
I may struggle getting respondents as well.
Okay. Well, remember you can have, you know, if you get any of those bottlenecks, but let's assume it, rather than us assuming it's not going to work, let's be very hopeful that on this occasion, people really see the value of it and wanting to support you, and it will happen. If you come up with any other bottlenecks that you want to chat through with us, just give either Kevin or myself a call, and we'll see if there's any workaround. If it is that it's individuals within your own close-knit community who aren't able to do it, remember what Kevin said about, have you got partners, have you got relationships just outside on the periphery? Are there other networks you're party of that people will have seen your be able to observe your behavior and give you comments? Obviously the insights you want to gain is, what are people observing in me and how are they interpreting that in relation to my competency, my abilities as a leader? So bear that in mind. You know, the framework we've given in terms of who the respondents are is a framework that tends to work in organisations that have that capacity. And if not, either have a think a little bit wider, or have a chat with us, and let's see if we can come up with something that works for you. Because it'd be a shame, because you really want to know what people around you are perceiving of in terms of your behaviours as a leader. It's such a valuable thing. Right, because of the time, I'm going to suggest, if anyone else has a message, a question or anything else, you can call us, you can email us, whatever else, so we can pick up on that. Because there's 2 other little bits of things I just want to do. One is, we know, and it sounds like from yourselves you appreciate the value of the network. Someone said about it being a lonely place, being a leader of, and you're so busy, and where does all time go? Also, when you're learning new information, when you're learning new things, when you're practicing, when you're testing, when you're sharing in the cohort, that's when learning can get consolidated. So we are going to encourage you to buddy up, to have a loose-knit buddying group, trio, quad, whatever it ends up being, where you make contact, even if it's just to say, hi, how are you? Have you done your online? Or did you ever go at that? Whatever it is, because the networks you're building now will take you forward, whether you decide you want to be a CEO or not. It's so valuable having someone you can pick the phone up to. I'm sure you appreciate that from whatever you're doing, but if you speak to any of the CEOs who have felt lonely in the past, we've had so many tell us how important it is, that network. So what I'm doing is a random sourcing, which is going to put you in bundles of 3. We've got another 4 people who aren't with us on the call today, so they'll be added to the group. I can read through what we've got so far. It will all go into the learning lesson. Maybe you'll pull it out and put it on an email as well to keep it separate for you. That list saying what buddy group you're in. And we're inviting you to make contact with each other, perhaps before the workshop, just a quick line to say hi. Okay, and Jenny's off and everyone's going to be off. So
do we share that online, Ray, and in an email?
Yep,
Do it that way around.
Yep, we'll do that just in terms of time. For those of you who are still here, people, everyone's needing to go. So all we're going to say then is how fabulous this first meet has been, how reassuring that you all seem to be on the perfect course for us. The next steps are that we're going to see you. We're putting up online things tomorrow. More lessons for you tomorrow. We'll have a recording of this program on there. We'll share your buddy names and we'll invite you to make contact with them in one shape or format. And we'll share the names for the 360 and get that ball rolling too. So,
and we look forward to seeing you in person on the 1st of October.
And we have taken on board, and we will ensure we get the venue identified as soon as possible so everyone can be well aware of where they're staying. So thank you one and all. It's been fabulous meeting you for the first time and start this journey with you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mike can say cheerio, and then we can get a nice lovely picture to put online for you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.